Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. That's right. In honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival, I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here through the series, experiencing his reactions watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories throughout the years. Today's episode is Phineas and Ferb Get Busted. Written by Bobby Gaylor, Martin Olson, storyboards John Coldenberry, Piero Peluso, and Dan Bobemeyer directing. All right, so Dragon, this is a big one. How are you coming down on it?
Conflicted's the wrong word, but I'm intrigued by it. It's a very intriguing episode. Yeah, because it's a major status quo break, and it's kind of this. It's kind of a major cartoon trope that we've seen done and attempted, and some have succeeded, some have failed miserably. And yeah, this is it's a thing where it's like, we have a big status quo shift, and we ring the bell, and then usually by the end of it we go back on it.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It usually leaves an audience, or at least it's the risk of leaving an audience unsatisfied or dissatisfied with with the choice to, like, you took us to the top of the mountain, and then you rolled all the way down. You're like, what? Like, why did you do that? And I mean, there are very obvious good reasons to do that. So it's kind of it was a risk to do it in the first season, let alone not as the last episode of the first season. I feel. I mean, I think it's a good episode, but I think it's a question of if it's fallen prey to a lot of kind of the tropes in this ambitious story idea. So it's yeah.
Well, to be fair, at least they didn't pull a Dallas and pull it and reveal at the end of the season.
That's the thing. So I'm just conflicted, but not in an. I really like the episode, but again, just the reveal. I don't know. It's the reveal is iffy. And again, speaking as somebody who's seen, like, perchance the dream and Over the Edge, okay, 'cause I know this can work and it can be done effectively, and this episode still is good. It still is fun, but again, it's the question. You kind of question the point of it at the end of the day, you know.
Like, LAB, like, I bet Phineas and Ferb will never get busted. 15 episodes later.
Yep.
Yep. Like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and as I point out, it's not like it is kind of an interesting choice to do it in, like, somewhere in the middle of the season instead of near the end. But honestly, I don't really. This episode is still, as you said, fun regardless, and I think everyone kind of anticipated it wouldn't stick. I mean, even though the funny thing is, like, due to the original airing schedule, like, it kind of originally aired as, like, one of the first episodes of the second season in its original airing.
See, that would be interesting if season 2 started with this. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it almost kind of did when, like, due to the airing schedule, because they held it back, and, like, one of the reviews, like, was like, the second season, like, they start off the second season like this.
You know, it's funny. Kim Possible, when they came back, I think their first episode when they returned was
yeah. I remember.
That's what I'm saying. It's the fact they kind of had, like, I think it was I forget if it was, I think it was the opening of the episode, and they had a post credit gag or something. It was the idea that Ron Stubble imagined the wonderful finale of the wonderful ending of So the Drama was
And then Kim was a sympto drone.
yes.
Like, that is still terrifying.
Yes. So all that's
and that's about. I remember seeing, like, that's how they not only how they opened the fourth season, but that's how they advertised the fourth season was returning.
God.
It's like, yeah, like, hey, it's returning. Have some nightmare fuel. What? Yeah, we need to do a retrospective on that show someday.
That's true.
Like, I mean, there are rumors of that getting a revival too, and we will definitely cover that if that comes out. But while those rumors are unsubstantiated at the moment, we can only hope.
Yep.
either hope for or hope against. As long as like Scully and McCork are all involved, I think they might be decent at least.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to move? Want to get on to the episode then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we actually begin in the middle of this. We actually begin with the middle of the project, where Phineas and Ferb have built this massive tower, and are building the flying car of the future today.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy a good vehicle modification, so this is quite good.
Yep. Like, even though it did steer a little bit to the right.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, unfortunately, they don't get a chance to fix it though. Of course, as it is in media res, Candace is hoping that Mom will be back, Linda will be back before the invention disappears.
I love how we open this. I love the fact that we have one just already Linda in like fishing gear, like fly fishing gear. It's just like, do I even want to know? It's like,
I mean,
oh, Linda, that hobbyist.
she has a lot of activities, Drag. What can I say?
No, I dig it, man. I like it. Yeah. So anyway, so I love how we're at the start here. Linda is fishing, and Candace, is bringing her there. But then Linda, and of course Carolina Reed, and it just is great. We hear like, don't you just get tired of this? Just calls out the cycle. Like, don't you get just tired of this? Because you always call me every day, and you bring me home, and there's nothing there. And it gives Candace pause. She kind of has second thoughts. Like, this is a hilarious for the occasion in which the boys are going to be caught. The circumstance is quite great. It's quite golden.
It's like you're right. I just get so frustrated. Like, and then she's like, I call you to say that Phineas and Ferb built this thing, and then when I drag you back here, and you always say, I see it.
Oh god, and hers the bug-eyed, just like gobsmacked reaction of like, I see it.
Like, you mean you see my point?
No, I see it.
I see that.
Yeah, so the realization. So then, I love how. So again, folks, honestly, it's funny. This episode, the gritty reboot essentially writes itself. We don't really need to do anything. I don't even think we'd even need to say gritty reboot. This essentially is a gritty episode.
I mean, this is pretty much considered to be one of the darkest episodes of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it does ultimately turn out to be a dream within a dream.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So Linda, she has this great realization of like Candace was telling the truth the whole time, and I love like the little tiny Candace heads that are saying every line that we've had up to this point for like, Mom, they're my lower intestines.
They built a roller coaster.
Exactly. It's all the swirling Candaces. And this honestly, I gotta admit, like before we went on, I was contemplating this image wise, but it was like, it would have been a little it's too out of context.
I mean, I could have gone with the corn dog image.
Anyway, so it was the idea. All these the fact that Linda feels guilt over, oh, Candace, I'm so sorry. I was gonna like profit off of your ramblings in the journal.
It's stand-up comedy.
From her little blackmail, well, not blackmail, really a little journal, she of like her little material journal she could use to start a promising stand-up career.
Oh God! And you're like, you truly are the greatest daughter ever.
And of course, now this is like a little foreshadow that okay, it's a little much. Something's going on here.
It's like there are some, as people point out, there are some subtle clues to the fact that it takes place within that it actually is a dream.
Yeah.
Like especially like the toolbox changing, and then the fact that she missed a hole in her house.
Jay, was there any background on the genesis of this episode?
I mean, I don't really think so. I mean, nothing that's listed anyway. I mean, I think it was just more beyond like they. Let's see. Yeah, no, really. Yeah, there's really no idea. There's really nothing idea like where they came up with the idea for the episode anyway. I mean, the most that it's titled "At Last" in other countries, but that's about it.
Okay.
Like in other countries, it's called "At Last" instead of this episode, instead of Phineas and Ferb get busted. Maybe to avoid the spoiler, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Okay, anyway, so Linda here, then she brings the hammer down, like, Phineas and Ferb, get down here.
Yeah, but then yep, and then they do come down, and they're like, isn't this cool or what?
So yeah, so she's freaking out here. Just the fact of like, who gave you permission for this? We have permits. So I love. Here's what I love about this: the boys are absolute. As again, these are good boys. They're not. It's not like Phineas from that first episode profiting off people for a very unsafe roller coaster throughout the tri-state area,
I mean, to be like Dragon,
tri-county.
It is tri-state area.
Darn it! Every time.
It's in the intro that we do every.
No, I know. Every time I'm always thinking of Toy Story 2. That's what always gets me. Every time we go to tri-state area. Anyway,
I mean, Tri-County. I mean, Toy Story 2 is good though.
No, it is. That's why I'm pre-programmed with Tri-County. I'm always combating that with Phineas and Ferb.
And to be fair, Dragon, he did show people how to fasten their seatbelts.
Yep.
Like so he at least had some concern.
Oh yeah, sure.
But even then he still did get permits. Like well, look, your permits are in order. I'm quite impressed.
That is like so. Anyway, so the point being, like we got the permits, and the boys are being completely reasonable here. They're not wrong, and they did not do something bad here. Again, it's technical. Again, it's a poor reflection on Linda. To be frank, it's just like, well, we had permits. Like
I meant
you said we could.
Like, I meant my permission. And then
well, you did at breakfast today.
It's like we modify the car to fly, which, to be fair, I mean, not many parents would expect their kids to build, to turn their actual car into a flying machine.
But you know what that is, Jacob. Much as I love Linda, I'm gonna drop the hammer down on her. Okay.
Okay.
But Linda, that's her undervaluing her kids, like putting them in a box there. Like, you know what? They're all they're like, just give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know what? Maybe I should say. Remember, no, not the real car, the toy car.
Well, like I said, I mean, most kids, even in this world, obviously, we can't do what they do. So I mean, who would reasonably assume that?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just saying in general, though, it sounds every time that she's always like, "Oh, ain't that cute?" and all that stuff. It's always like kind of. One could argue, and the cynical argument is that she's really devaluing her kids a little bit. They're just like, hey, oh, ain't that cute? My kids could never do anything like that. It's like, well, no, Linda, they're actually very capable. I mean, like, really, I'm not even talking just like, oh, look at that, A+. Like, no, I mean, like, they built things overnight that, like, any zoning commission in the world would be like, wow, we got to hire those kids.
I mean, seriously, man. It's like
they have seats, Jacob. They have seats on the city council.
You know what the interesting part about that is, Dragon? I actually did do some research into that.
Okay.
And in reality, you have to be 18 at minimum to be elected to the city council.
I'm assuming what happened was when they were like filling out the paperwork, someone's like, you're awfully young to have seats on the city council. Yes, we are.
All right, good. All right, welcome aboard, boys.
Loophole. Okay.
I mean, clearly they do a good job because they receive a letter from them later.
Yep.
And then again, considering this is a dream, that whole thing might be dubious anyway.
That's true, yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they did in reality, though. Anyway, so after all that, Lawrence then comes home and sees what they have done. Like, my word, that is impressive.
That's the thing. So they tell her that we do this sort of thing all the time. I love how hurt he sounds. Like, but we do this sort of thing all the time. And they were wearing invisible helmets. Well, basically helmets that look exactly at the top of their foreheads, which is pretty nice. Which is pretty cool. Yep. Anyway, so Lawrence is oblivious here. He's just gonna walk in and be like, "Oh, what do you know?" Looks he just had no idea. We don't even know if he was at home or not. I assume he wasn't. That's the thing. I think half the time Lawrence is actually at the house. Not always, mind you, but sometimes he is there. He's just not paying attention. Yeah, I mean, it's like there are plenty of times, even later on, where he's either part of what's going on or just has completely no idea. So it's like, and here that's definitely one of the cases. Like,
You'd think people would notice a giant, superstructure built outside their house, but then again, there's a lot of stuff that people don't notice on this show for the plots to work. Like, what happened? But the worst of it, like, Lawrence even tries to argue, he's like, "That's no harm done, right?" But then they find Phineas and Ferb find their missing screw, and the building falls onto the house. So what do you make of that?
Yes, bolt number 473.
Yes.
Oh boy, Phineas and Ferb are in trouble here because again they could have screwed away, but then half the house got destroyed. They wrecked half the house.
And both Lawrence and Linda are mad at that.
Well, I'd imagine so, Jacob. I mean, if half of your house was destroyed because somebody forgot to add a bolt in a giant towering landing zone landing platform for the car of the future today, I think you'd be upset too.
I mean, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, right now there's a hole in my bathroom for maintenance. It's been there since Tuesday.
I mean, that's your house, Jacob. That's where all your stuff is. To quote the Tick, that's where all my stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which tick, by the way?
The animated Tick.
All right. Because there are 3 different versions of technically 4 different versions of the Tick.
I'm well aware of that, Jacob. I'm hoping for a 5th, but yes.
Or at least a continuation of one of the previous ones.
Well, sure, but in general, again, yes.
All right.
Let me ask you this: game or film in terms of how to bring him back?
Yeah, probably film.
Okay. Animated film?
Preferably.
Okay. Anyway. Let's talk about, yes?
Yeah, go on.
Let's talk about the Smile Away Reform School.
Yep, after realizing what they've done, after seeing what they've done, they decide. I mean, at first there's a shot of them with in the penitentiary bus, which is just to be a visual gag.
Yeah, but again, Jake, to give points to do here, we're having a lot of laughs with Phineas and Ferb, but again, this episode, there's a bit of a moral here. There's a bit of, well, not just a moral, but there's also kind of a satire.
Yeah, they're different. I mean, there definitely is. Dan and Swampy are major advocates for creativity, especially in children.
That's the thing. I mean, there's that, and there's also you got to remember, there was a period in time, especially in the kind of early 2000s, late 90s kind of period. There was a thing where these reform schools were actually a real epidemic. They're a real problem. They were a thing where basically there's a marketing campaign that showed you, hey, we got to nip, and it was more for teenagers than it was kids. We got to nip bad teens in the bud, and we got to put them in, basically kind of essentially voluntary juvenile hall. Essentially, was kind of the idea. It's hey, let's get them in shape, put them in line. It's kind of the same idea of why the rich people send their kids to the boarding school, to a degree. It was kind of the same logic.
Interesting.
That's the same. For a while, there was kind of a thing. They're always saying, "Do you have?" It's all those ads of "Do you know where your kids are at this time of night?" and that sort of thing. It was kind of a thing in service of of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember any of those ads, but
yeah. Anyway, so then again, the parallels are there's the whole prison to this little reform school, the Smile Away Reform School.
Oh yeah, it's and of course, so it's well, the reason Linda does explain to the fact that she just wants for their own safety, they don't want them to get hurt. We're wearing helmets.
And again, there's something so sad about all of Phineas's lines, and I wonder how much of that is the dream, just kind of doing it for kind of a cinematic quality to the nightmare, to the dream, or is it is it a cinematic choice, or is it just actually is a heartbreaking kind of moment?
Again, I think it's more cinematic. I think Phineas actually would be like that in reality, even if it wasn't a dream, because he genuinely believes those things. That's what I think anyway. And then we meet the drill sergeant, voiced by none other than Clancy Brown.
The great Clancy Brown, of course, cast for a variety of reasons. One, he's a very talented voice actor. Two, there's some Shawshank nods going on there. Him as the drill sergeant. Obviously, he was not a drill sergeant in Shawshank, but the fact that he's done a lot of stuff. He's been drill sergeants in like Starship Troopers, and he was the prison guard in Shawshank.
Yeah, he wasn't very nice in Shawshank either.
No, he wasn't. No, I mean he threatened to throw he threatened to throw people off roofs.
Yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, Mr. Krabs. And not to mention all the other villainous characters he's voiced.
Lex Luthor being top of the heap.
Of course.
Seriously, this is the best Lex Luthor ever, Clancy Brown. He's just so good. No one ever gives him enough credit for Lex Luthor.
I still remember how he actually tried out for Superman, but they wanted him for Lex. He's like, will I ever be the good guy?
Yep. Anyway, yeah, so here's something that occurs to me, though. Like, in retrospect, Linda and Lawrence's decision here, twofold. One, the smart play would have been, hey, boys, can you fix the house?
Yeah, they probably would have fixed it within, like, a couple minutes.
Exactly. Secondly, an overreaction for sure. Like, we're gonna send the boys away because essentially, again, it's a very questionable move here. Linda says it's for their protection because she couldn't bear anything bad happen to him, which is admirable. But by the same token, though, it's kind of apocryphal is not the right word, but it's I don't know if oblivious is the right word either. It's basically hey Linda, no, this is a reflection on your parenting for doubting Candace all these times, for not asking follow-up questions with your own children. You know, Linda, the phone works both ways. Maybe sometimes you can call the boys and say, hey boys, how's it going?
Well, remember, when she doesn't get a call, she just rushes home.
That's true. That's true, but still, she's missing a lot. It's basically like this way. Linda is kind of, at the very least in this episode, in this dream kind of premise, Linda is kind of like a more morally responsible version of the Turners. Now, again, I want to be clear. The Turners are monsters. The Turners need to be locked away. They need help.
At least in the later seasons, anyway.
Later seasons, especially early seasons, we had laughs with them, but implication-wise, it was always there.
The battering ram scene is still hilarious.
It is. But again, that's him being an attentive parent. I'm talking about everything else, though.
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, the flaws with the Turners were always there, but then they got just ridiculous and over-exaggerated as it went on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, old Odd Parents was great.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. Right. The point being, it's like Linda Lawrence there. It was an overreaction, sending the boys away. And here's the main issue. I think the name of even if with the right bus, the name of the place, Smile Away Reform School. Does anything seem suspect here, Linda?
It seems. I think it's probably just not indicative.
Smile away. Bunch of frown. Look at our picture here. Look at this. Okay, where's my laser pointer? Okay, look at this. Smile away. Look at all the kids on the bus. Frown. Look on the other side of the green kid. Frown. Okay, look at Linda there. Linda's looking at her children. Hey, Linda. What you missing here? What's wrong? Linda, look around you. Is Candace happy? Clue that something's amiss here. Your husband. Let's look at her husband. Does he look happy about this decision? No, he doesn't.
I think Candace looks happy.
No, that's what I just said, Jacob. Candace looks happy. Yes, which is a sign of like, no, that's not good. She looks happy.
Yeah.
Candace is happy by this turn of events. Lawrence, he's a little bummed out. All the kids on here frowning. Why are they frowning? Opposite of smile. As in the smile has gone away. As in these kids are going to prison. You're sending your children to prison because you said yes without asking a follow-up question.
However, there is one person on the bus that is happy to go.
It's Baljeet, but he's deranged.
Yes. It's like he got kicked out of summer school because his grades were too high. Let's go to school.
Oh God. There's some. Thank goodness. I'm chalking up the dream logic here. Like, yeah, there's no way this would ever track if you really think about it.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a bit of a cough.
Anyway, we have comments.
Yes, it's like another bit is like I very much enjoy whenever cartoon films pretend to be good and there's just something indicating that they're obviously evil. We have Claude back. Turner's not knowing what Vicky does to Timmy. And regarding our like building stuff earlier, that's just some child labor I'd be looking for. As long as they're willing, right? They volunteer. Why not?
That's true.
It's like, is it against the law of children if kids volunteer? Is that still against child labor laws?
I mean, I would document it and say, yeah, we wanted to. There's always going to be the judgment of like, well, come on, you knew this was wrong, man. Well, yeah, but it was free labor. How am I going to pass that up?
And they wanted to do it.
Yeah. Did you provide hydration and everything for them? Did you provide like little water bottles or lemonade or something? Yeah. Was it because you had to or because you loved them? As I thought. There's no right answer to that question. It's either like, oh yeah, because you love your children, and yet you let them do all this for you for no compensation.
Yeah.
All right.
And of course, once Phineas and Ferb leave off to the reform school, and Candace is obviously ecstatic and living the good life.
We have the Happy Candace montage in which she's like doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's her and her trio of friends. It's her, Jeremy, and Stacy.
It's like Good Life, the song written by Danny Jacob, Dan Povenmire, and performed by Danny Jacob. So, and of course, like they're they're like skiing, they're water skiing with Candace jumping over buses, like playing table hockey, horseback riding, all kinds of stuff. Like apparently stuff she couldn't do when she was worrying about busting her brothers. But speaking of which, we actually see the results of it. Like it doesn't look like it does in the brochure. Yeah, that's an understatement. Smile. What does Smile Away look like, Dragon?
Yeah, so it looks full on like a prison.
It's no Sunnyside daycare, that's for sure.
No, yeah, for sure.
Even though although it actually is like Sunnyside daycare on the inside, though.
Yeah.
And of course, Baljeet, when they're shaving their hair, Baljeet's already shaved his.
Little overachiever.
Yeah, but like this is my summer wig. So of course, like the drill sergeant explains exactly what the goal is to destroy dangerous elements inside of them, such as unpredictable levels of creativity, imagination, and unbridled enthusiasm. Which basically makes it clear that this school is basically brainwashing children into just being mindless, obedient slaves and creative drones. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's a Dennis Swamp are like major believers in creativity, and they'll always fight for creativity, especially in children. And they don't like creativity being stifled. But of course, you got to love their bunk bed, right? The bunk bed they make.
Yes, the Ferris beds. The Ferris beds are awesome, and again, it's like what's the one way you can make prison more lively? You don't have to climb up when the guy's thing is hit the button. It's like, man, that's a nice teamwork kind of mentality in prison. It's nice. Makes going to bed fun in prison.
And you don't have to fight for the top bunk either.
My favorite bit with Clancy Brown and all this, when He lays out the mission statement. He breaks the creative spirits and everything. He walks over, seeing the Ferris bits. What you doing? Just hearing
somewhere,
Clancy Brown say, "Yeah, go on."
somewhere Isabella senses a disturbance.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah,
Anyway, so then we have just all the indignities that they suffer. They have to do non-rhythmic, no rhythmic toothbrush scrubs in the bathroom.
they start cleaning the bathroom and it starts creating this funky rhythm, and no funky rhythms.
Yeah, no scatting in here, but then again, it's a bathroom, so.
Dragons. Really, dragons? Anyway, it's like I don't know. They kind of felt like had a hard, more freeform jazz vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
can't please everybody.
Then they get Clockwork Oranged.
Oh yeah, as I mentioned, they would last week.
A really dumb Clockwork Orange parody idea.
What do you mean?
This is a stupid idea. Just someone basically with the clamps and the eyes open, but someone like throwing oranges at him says, "What are you doing? You've been Clockwork Oranged."
You have to admit, though, it is disturbing seeing their eyes forced open and all that.
Oh no, for sure it is. Yeah. And then we have this. I love this. I love this design, by the way. I mean, it initially looks like Ed 209, but it's just a nice design where the giant water kind of silos are just kind of below it. The drill sergeant on top of this giant kind of squirt gun device. This kind of Ed 209, but kind of more kind of hydro focused. It's basically just blasting them with kind of a negative reinforcement idea here, where every time the boys are reaching for a toolbox or something, reaching for a tool that's laid out for them to do creative stuff with, bam! It's like hey, you train a cat to do something squirt with the water bottle.
I mean, that is actually something that's based in reality.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's negative reinforcement. That's what the psychological term is.
And it gets to the point where they can't even Phineas can't even finish his catchphrase at that point.
Yep, I know it works.
I know it. I've finally broken them.
It's pretty dark. Again, the folks, we don't even need a great room with this episode. It's all there.
Yeah, this episode is one of the darkest the show has to offer. I mean, there's more violent episodes down the line, we
already had some we had Doofenshmirtz with that mouse, the third episode. We've gotten pretty dark in the past.
I mean, this episode does have this show does have some darker humor in it. The show isn't always sunshine and rainbows. I mean, it is a lot of the time, but not all the time.
That's true.
I mean, as you've seen in these 16 episodes, it isn't afraid to get a little edgy here and there. And of course, Candace is actually getting kind of bored and she's beginning to miss the boys, which leads to an adorable sequence of the Little Brother song. John Goldman Barry wrote it, and the song is performed by Stacy, but Kelly Who can't sing, so Laura Dickinson performed it.
That's a little reductive. She might be able to sing, but not like a teenage girl.
No, the wiki literally says Kelly Who cannot sing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, I guess she can't sing.
I mean, at least I'm going by what the wiki says, Dragon.
And the wiki's a harsh mistress.
Maybe she said it herself somewhere.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure she said it herself, but it just feels okay. I mean, even the fact this little, this an offshoot of Wikipedia says it, so it must be true.
Yes. So what'd you make of the whole Little Brother sequence, Dragon?
I thought it was delightful. I loved seeing it. I thought it was really cute, and it kind of gave a nice backstory. And again, looking at it with the dream logic, it's this is her kind of taking snapshots of her of the fond feeling she has for her brothers. She sees them as the little brothers and everything, all the happy moments from season 1. And again, this is the stuff that makes me think, again, played at the end of the season, or as Jacob kind of suggested here, at the top of season 2. I don't know. It would be a nice way of recapping things and closing things out for Candace.
Yeah, Like I said, keep in mind they didn't know that how many seasons they were going to get in this show, so
Well, it still doesn't change the fact of like even if they didn't know, more towards the end than like what were we on 17,
yeah, it's 16.
16, then on 16.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't understand the placement either, Dragon. That's just the way they did it.
Yep.
But but yeah, seeing Candace hold Phineas, and then Phineas smile, and then her smile, just like, oh.
Then like I mean the cutest thing for me is seeing little Furby. Look, little Furby, and he's holding little signs because we have to sell that he's English. We have to sell it's a blended family. It's an international family. Look at them all there. Look at the cute version of Phineas and Ferb, and then little Candace before all the hope was drained out of her.
It's like yeah, they even shown their creativity, like when they made fixture toys and everything.
Yeah, they smashed their dolls, but they made even better ones.
Yeah, our little brother.
Little brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it's like yeah, Stacy, this song's kind of bumming me out. It's like you finally got everything you ever wanted. Call me when you get over it. Okay. And of course, that leads her to actually making things even worse because she turns on a news story covered by Morty Williams, voiced by guest star Geraldo Rivera.
That tracks. I did not know it was Geraldo Rivera, but now you tell me that. Yeah, I can buy it. That's him.
Yep, you didn't know, but now I told you, yeah, that's Geraldo Rivera.
I'm just saying with the basically essentially the Groucho glasses. Yeah, that tracks.
Yep, and it basically shows like all the stuff that's happening, and then she's like, wait, that's not the place for them. I mean, that basically shows like though she is bothered by what they do, she doesn't want their creativity to be stifled, and that is consistent throughout everything else. So that's not just something that's limited to the dream, as you've noticed.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy comes in, and it's like, how did you get in here? So
There's a giant gaping hole in your house.
Like again, and that and the tripping over the mailbox are people see those as clues of the fact that the episode is a dream.
Yep.
What do you make? Do you agree with that or not?
Even tripping over the toolbox.
Yes, the fact that it keeps like resetting its place and everything.
I thought that honestly, I chalked that one up just to cartoon logic. Like, man, Candace is not picking up on the obvious signs here.
But upon like a rewatch,
upon the rewatch, it's psychological.
like,
Dream logic. DiCaprio's in the corner, spinning atop.
Will it fall over? Who knows?
Just gonna sit there, just saying, "Un café, un café." Just gonna.
Anyway, even Linda and Lawrence are beginning to want to take them out of the school, especially after they got a letter from the city council.
Yeah, and again, they were absolutely too harsh on these boys.
I mean, sorry. It is reasonable to expect punishment, but sending them to a reform school was
not punishment. They didn't do it. Again, as they call that right now. I guess they didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, it was there's more their fault than anything. Like they did no supervision at all.
Yeah, technically they did get building permits too.
Yeah, here's an idea. Hey, Candace, don't let the boys build anything.
I mean, I don't think Candace would stop them.
Well, no, it's a thing of these are good boys. They listen to Candace if she told them.
Remember she did try to remember, I'm in charge. Isn't that just if a satellite crashes into the?
That's true, but even so, it's like in charge. And what does she do while she's in charge? She's talking to Stacy.
It's like, but I don't think that would stop Phineas and Ferb, though.
It's funny. Every time she's always said, I'm telling Mom, but at no point does she ever say, stop this.
It's like, I think, remember, she's tried.
No, I don't think she has, actually. Think about it.
Yeah, well, Dragon...
Has she ever said the words, stop this right now?
Yes. Not the exact words, but Dragon, there's a future episode where she tries to get them to start doing something, but they don't.
Well, I don't know. It starts more of like, they're already doing the impossible. It's like, hey, do this impossible thing. I don't know. I think there's a bit of a reasonable kind of.
Either way, Linda and Lawrence find the flying car of the future today gone. Where's the flying car of the future today? I just love Lawrence.
Yeah, no, you gotta love that Lawrence is gonna respect the brand.
Yep. You gotta stick to the brand, right, Dragon?
Oh yeah.
And of course, Candace is ecstatic about her date with Jeremy.
Yep.
It's a prison busting date, but
yeah, they're the best kind of dates.
Oh yeah, it's like that's where all girls dream of going. Break their brothers out of prison on a date.
Yep.
Follow us for more dating advice. We're single.
Oh, okay.
No, I am anyway.
Anyway, let's proceed.
I am anyway. Like so, after Candace proves again that she's still incapable of driving, or at least incapable of driving a flying car.
It's a self-parking car, though.
Yeah, well, self-parking in the fact that she crashes it and it teeters off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, doesn't mean a park. Even if it's self-parking, doesn't mean self-park's great.
I know. I mean, that is a fair point. Like, they just need to work out the landing. It also doesn't help that it steers a bit to the right.
Nope.
And then we get to Chains on Mim. We get to see the results of what's going on at the Smile Away Reform School with Chains on Me.
Go on.
Written by Jeff Swampy, Martin Olson, and Dan Povenmire. And performed by the Smile Away Reformatory Glee Club featuring Dan Povenmire.
Yep.
That's what it says on the album.
One gag we neglected to mention is that when Candace finds out the horrors that are going on there, like we have this, the boys are having the ideas sucked from their mind, drained from their minds, and they have like a little suction tube like attached to their heads.
Being forced to think inside the box.
That's my favorite. I love that joke so much. We do like the whole put them in the box, not the box, and they go in the box, and they're thinking inside the box. It's like, oh, it's so cute.
All that does is remind me of the Recess episode.
A little bit, yeah.
The box.
God.
Even though these boxes are decidedly more realistic and arguably just as psychological, but obviously not as easy to get out of.
Yeah.
So it was like, Chains on Me is a very dark song. It's like, obviously, it's like Dan again singing in his in his blues voice as we did earlier with Evil Boys.
Yep, it's such a catchy song.
The Evil Boys or Chains on Me?
Evil Boys. EVILBOYS.
Yes. He has a good blues voice. You gotta admit.
Is he blue?
No.
No.
Remember, he's also the same guy. Remember, he also does Dr. Doofenshmirtz as well.
I know that.
So he can definitely say he has range.
No, yeah, no, for sure.
And if you just listen to his normal voice, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell that both those are even him.
I don't know. You kind of hear a hint of Doofenshmirtz in his regular voice.
It is kind of hard to tell, though.
Right. Okay, anyway, so we, as Candace, we have this. Candace and Jeremy try a number of ways to get into the facility. The hilarious initial way they try is the old Trojan horse gambit. Now, this is funny.
Well, the first thing they try is actually just knocking on the door and asking to take them home.
Which, in theory, really should have worked. But no, they can't leave until the end of the summer, which means until the end of the show.
Yeah. And the rest of the show, fortunately, does not take place at Smile Away Reform School.
Yeah.
But then they tried Trojan Horse, which, shaped like themselves.
God.
Which typically, we got to admire Candace's building skills.
The gag made me laugh so much. Just the fact that they were that stupid. Just the fact, Candace, really?
You got to admire, she's actually pretty skilled at building too.
Yeah, no, she is. And then the second thing she builds. So their second, they build this giant version of the drill sergeant as the Trojan horse, and he's just so tickled pink by it. Just like, it's beautiful,
It's
but
like,
it's too big.
I don't have any room for you. And then it turns out there's a whole bunch more of them in there.
This is a SpongeBob gag, and I love it.
I gotta get a bigger yard.
I just love the idea that he has like all these other giant wood statues of himself. And
Explain the whole SpongeBob gag though, or is it like a SpongeBob style gag?
I just mean it's like in the style. This feels like a SpongeBob gag. It's not an actual like recycled SpongeBob gag. I'm just saying it feels like something like Patrick would say something stupid, and then we justify it. It's just like, wow, he was not kidding. It's like we literalized it.
Kind of like the whole like, I built an alternate universe. You remember that one?
Yeah.
And then it's like that's a mirror, Patrick. It's like, darn, everyone steals my ideas. Well, I thought it was a pretty good idea. It's like, that just reminds me of that.
Sure. I mean, I'm thinking probably something.
I know, probably from
something
the first,
else, but yeah.
Probably something from the first 3 seasons.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I know, but while the Trojan drill sergeant doesn't get taken in, they do is like slide down the arm and get onto the wall, and then fall, and then there's a trap door and they land into a pile of hair. And they find Baljeet's summer wig.
And they get an idea. They're going to impersonate Morty Williams.
Oh my god.
Morty Williams. So basically they're impersonating Geraldo Rivera.
With the hair and mustache.
Yep.
It's like, aren't you a little female to be Morty Williams? Hell, you know what they say. The camera adds masculinity.
Oh, that Morty Williams was another satire, by the way. Morty Williams, his show was like, my kid is bad, and I want to blame others.
Yep.
So just the fact that, again, there's some obvious satire. They're like, yeah, no, there's parents not paying any attention. They're just going to let the kids, going to run wild there and just get in their own mess and then blame the influence after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you think there's a lot of these parents organizations, like these organizations that can complain about TV. It's like, well, it's not the TV's job to educate your kids.
Yeah, let me get this straight, Parents Association. You have enough time to throw a little meeting together and get a logo and everything, but you don't have enough time to actually watch your kids.
Yes.
All right. Anyway.
And of course, the drill sergeant who didn't fall for the Trojan of themselves or the one of himself completely falls for her disguise.
Oh yeah.
Even though you could see her 2 different hairstyles and obviously not Morty Williams.
But it's the Groucho glasses, man. It's seamless.
It is seamless. I mean, it's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it?
I mean, well, obviously, Jacob. I mean, it looks like Candace and Morty Williams are separated at birth. They're so similar looking. I think it's just kind of like. I mean, I think the better question is Morty Williams Candace's real father? Find out tonight. Okay.
Who knows?
Because we never see the genetic patriarch from the Flynn the Flynn Fletcher clan. Who's Fletcher again? Is that
Lawrence?
Lawrence, right? From the Flynn clan. Which of course Lawrence is the non-biological father.
Yeah, well, he is the biological father of Ferb.
Well, fine, he's not Candace's. Okay. He's Candace's non-biological father.
Yes.
Okay. So, anyways, the Morty Williams is interviewing the sergeant. The sergeant,
quote unquote Morty Williams.
Yep.
Go on.
Anyway, so Sergeant is dumb enough to follow all these ridiculous tricks and stuff. Like, okay, we need to adjust the light here. Can you plug your fingers in your ears, go la 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 la, and go into the closet?
And action.
Like the Clancy Brown actually does it. And he's hysterical.
La 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 la. And of course, that just means they nab Phineas and Ferb and make a run for it.
Yeah, carry them like their luggage.
It's like, why is Morty Williams running off with our children?
Can we tackle Morty Williams?
It's like, it's Morty Williams! Get him!
Get him!
And then And then they tackle the real Morty Williams.
Yep. Of course, the great reboot here is that Morty Williams is going to sue. Is going to sue this place.
And then they put it over a cactus. It's Morty Williams. Get him. And then, like, wait, they tricked us. It's Morty Williams. Get him. It's like they did the gag 3 times in less than 20 seconds, and it's hilarious each time.
Oh, yeah.
They think that it's the hair and the mustache that makes it Morty Williams, as we've established already. It makes anyone indistinguishable from the real Morty Williams.
Correct.
And of course, even Linda doesn't realize, like, why is Morty Williams running off with their children? You think she'd be more concerned?
Is it seamless? Well, no, Jacob, have you seen his ratings?
Yeah.
They're through the roof, man. Their kids are in good hands.
Yeah.
I mean, at least someone's watching them.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Yeah, Linda.
This place should be sued, though. Go for it, Morty Williams.
Yeah, I should apologize to Linda. It's going to be Mother's Day this week, so,
Yeah, I mean, that is true.
In retrospect, this is not Linda's finest hour, Mother's Day was.
Well, I mean, it is also a dream.
That's also true, yeah. So actually, Linda's fine.
Yeah.
She's all good. Unblemished record. We're all good.
Thanks. All right, so, like, obviously, it's a mad race to the cliff to get Phineas and Ferb to fix the car.
Yep, and then the car goes over, and then the option is like, you got to build a bridge over the ravine, and the boys are feeling uninspired. They're unable to do it, so Candace has to go deep, and has to find a realization that, again, would be probably best left at the end of season 1 or top of season 2, where she admits that she feels pride in her little brothers.
Like, good little brothers do nothing but make their older sisters happy.
Yeah.
Creativity is how does it go again? And their creativity is bad. I'm trying to find the exact wordage of this one. Creativity is wrong and wrongness is bad.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, so of course she's like, creativity isn't bad. It's the best thing about you. It's like she's always been proud to be their older sister, which is nice.
It is, but it's fleeting, because then we have a moment where they're cornered, they're sicking the dogs on them, but there's a rumbling in the ground, Jacob.
But the good thing is it actually does break their programming, and they're back to their old selves.
Yeah, the boys are back to their old selves, but they're goners, and the drill sergeant's about to get them, but then
A Deus Ex Machina.
Yep, a la John Peters, a giant mechanical spider appears.
Written by Doc Perry and Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Yep. Doofenshmirtz of Doofenshmirtz
Evil
Evil Incorporated.
Which, for obvious reasons, is not included in this episode.
I gotta be honest, thinking about Doofenshmirtz, part of me really wants to see like a little brothers montage between Roger Doofenshmirtz and Heinz Doofenshmirtz. And so Heinz is the younger brother, is that right, or is that Roger?
Roger's the younger brother.
Just imagine this like Doofenshmirtz having like a more hateful, jealousy fueled one for like little brothers.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised they didn't do that. Fine. But what can I say? Maybe that'll be in season 5 and 6.
There you go. Wait, it's already been approved for 2 seasons?
Yeah, remember 2 seasons of 20 episodes each.
Oh, I forgot it was 2. So I thought it was 1. But I thought it was 1 big season. But okay, so 2. That's cool.
Basically, they're approved for 40 more episodes, like 40 more half hours.
Okay.
Supposedly going to be airing on Disney Plus too.
Yeah.
I mean, they might do a cross thing where it's actually Disney Channel and then Disney Plus, but I'm not sure.
Okay, anyway, so we killed Clancy Brown.
It's like, so yep, it's like as Perry, it's like, Perry wears a hat, and it's like curse you, Perry the platypus.
And I like that subconsciously Candace did hear all this though, so I like that's as far as the dream logic goes. Again, that again we have a reveal at the end, which kind of puts all of this into question, dream wise. But Candace Did have the episode where she was in quotes hallucinating and she saw Perry the Platypus do stuff.
Yeah, but it's like inside a man inside an egg. It's so weird. It's like, wait, how'd I get up here?
Yes.
It's like, and then it's like the spider leg gets caught and knocks the drill sergeant off the cliff.
Yep, and he falls, and we don't, and we kind of acknowledge, like, is he gonna be? And like, nope, he's dead. Curry reboot. They killed a man.
Like, yeah, this episode, this like basically one of only two people to actually die on screen in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you heard me right. Two people die on screen in this show.
Is he the first though?
Yes.
Oh God.
I mean, it's kind of facetious. It might be kind of facetious because he's a dream.
Well, true, but I mean, like, they murdered this man, Jacob. It's kind of a momentous occasion.
It is like literally somebody dies even within the dream.
Plus, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, he murdered a man.
Not intentionally, though. You could also say that's arguably Perry's fault too.
Yeah, you could. You very well could. Yeah.
It's like, and he's even doing the la 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 on the way down.
Yeah.
and then
Because he doesn't want to hear the splat.
Yeah, well, you probably won't be hearing much after it, ad-lib, for sure.
Well, yeah, because you're dead.
He's like, do you? And then, of course, at that point, things begin to go completely off the rails. It's like, do you think he'll be corn dog, yummy, yummy, yummy? Oh God.
Yep. And then we have the parents there, and the parents turn into puppets. And then who's puppeteering them?
Baljeet.
And then Baljeet turns into a puppet. And when he turns into a puppet, we reveal who's puppeteering him.
The zebra.
Yeah, the zebra from the hallucination episode. Candace is kind of like spirit animal, and we have the zebra saying, "Oh, Kevin."
It's like, I'm just as confused as you are, Kevin.
I love that. I love the zebra calls her Kevin.
Yep, he does that every time she shows up.
I dig it.
Like, I'm too familiar with this show that I immediately know who the other person who dies on screen is. Yep. There's an episode with a body count.
I buy it.
Yep.
No, technically we've killed a bunch of Doofenshmirtzes, so there's that too.
Well, they were erased and they were clones.
It was like a Holocaust of pharmacists.
They're not pharmacists, Dragon. They're evil scientists.
It was fine. It was okay, fine. It was a Holocaust of duplicates of evil scientists who dressed remarkably like pharmacists.
Okay.
There you go.
Like,
Anyway,
and of course, Jeremy proposes to Candace.
He does, and there's your status quo shift, man. That's how you start season 2. Candace is engaged.
And it's like, I've always dreamed, like, wait a minute. I'm dreaming. That would explain the talking zebra.
No, that's actually normal, but you doing this, that's not normal.
It's like him, bro, I see him all the time. Which is true. Like, Ellie, there's a Holocaust of pharmacists. Very normal quote. Yes.
Yes, there's a Holocaust of technical pharmacists.
Yeah. Like, and of course, after that, Candace finally wakes up from the dream.
Yep, and then she tells the family at breakfast all the crazy stuff that happened, and they're amused. And then, as she mentions what she learned about Perry the Platypus,
It's like
Alka guys burst in.
the SSSN appears.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's where he disappears to every day. And for a moment, things are calm. And then the agents literally bust through the windows, through the doors, out of the couch and out of the china cabinet. You gotta admit, they're quite excessive.
Well, let's face it, Monaghan's been waiting for this day. He just loves the idea. He loves swatting people, essentially, in a massive sense.
Literally, in this case.
Yeah, send a whole bunch of them there. It's like, okay. At some point, the family's going to find out. When they do, I want it to be the worst day of Agent P's life. It's going to look great.
It's like Monogram. How long do we have to wait inside this couch?
Like, shut up, Carl.
Like, Carl wasn't even it. But sir, I wasn't even in this episode. Does it matter, Carl? No,
because
sir.
it's because Carl's still dreaming all this, but we haven't gotten to him waking up yet.
I haven't even finished my cereal.
Yeah, there's love Phineas's main concern. I finished my cereal, and they're all going, and Perry's helpless, and Monogram says, Your cover's been blown, Agent P. Time to relocate.
But technically, if you notice, Phineas wasn't even eating cereal. He was eating bacon and eggs.
That's a good point, yeah. The dream logic. Aha!
Yeah, it can't be seen as dream logic.
The breakfast was wrong. The pages in Bruce Wayne's study, backwards, blank, and gibberish.
And technically, you can read inside a dream.
I know that they acknowledge they got that one wrong, but still, it was cool and dramatic though.
Well, it could always be chalked up to dramatic license.
It was good dramatic license though.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Greg. It's great dramatic license.
When he was listening out to the kind of the fake Batman, like dreams come from the left side. That whole that was again sounded like you knew what he was talking about. It convinced me for many years.
I mean, to be fair, that was also in the early '90s, and that's probably what they knew at that point.
Yep.
Plus, it could operate that way within the reality of the show. So.
Yeah.
All right. It's like LEB has come. Like this episode is all Carl's fault.
Dang it, Carl!
Just like everything else.
What a calamity.
It's a bit of a reach, but I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
It's like, and of course, after Perry's like, your cover's been blown. I have to relocate you.
Then Perry wakes up. We reveal he's been dreaming. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since we've seen him go full platypus, and I don't know if it was just this episode or what. His platypus design looked really weird compared to usual.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It looked like a little thicker and everything. It looked like he was like putting on weight.
I think it could be just off model, I guess.
I think he was off models. I'd look at it again if I were you, and you see if he looks off model compared to what it usually looks like when he's in the platypus form.
All right, let me.
Because he doesn't look as lean and sporty as like for example, in the toy episode, like when we see Perry Platypus like that, he's a lot. I don't know. It looks more closer to the toy model. In this case, I don't know. He just looks more.
He does look a little more like rounded in this one,
right?
It might have been because they wanted to create a model of him actually smiling. I guess I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, that might be it. The original model they had couldn't do that, so they made a new one. Because that's how they do these computer animation models. I think so anyway. Or they just had a new model for that, and they just made him look that way for that particular scene. I'm not entirely sure.
And anyway, so that's the episode. So it was Perry's dream all along, which then leads all the implications of Perry has. Perry's got some thoughts about Candace going on here. Like Perry's a lot more aware than we're giving him credit for if he's been dreaming this whole thing.
Yeah, Perry definitely knows what's going on. I mean, Dragon, you've seen Across the Second Dimension. You know he knows what's going on.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know if you remember exactly, but I mean that movie reveals that he always knows what's going on.
Well, it's seeing that we kind of set that up all the way back here then.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean I don't think it was intentional, but it is kind of nice, welding, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
It's like, and of course we see like Perry's worst nightmare is obviously losing Phineas and Ferb. Because when he realizes it's a dream, and then he must have had a bad dream, and he just smiles and goes back to sleep.
Yep.
Which is nice. I mean, it shows that's Perry's worst nightmare. And that's why he tries to keep everything a secret.
Doofenshmirtz's worst nightmare is...
What is Doofenshmirtz's worst nightmare?
Perry the Platypus stealing his theme song.
Curse you, Perry the Platypus!
Yep. Also, oh God, it'd be great in a Doofenshmirtz nightmare.
What?
It'd be great in a Doofenshmirtz nightmare.
What?
If his nightmare has Perry the Platypus saying, Curse you, Heinz Doofenshmirtz!
I mean, technically, there is one time we see Perry speak
Oh,
in
wow.
the series,
Wow.
and you've actually seen it. Remember?
We had D Bradley Baker voiced him, didn't he?
Hey, D. Bradley Baker does all the.
Well, I know he does the animal voice. I mean, did he do the speaking voice when he spoke?
Well, remember, it's in Night of the Living Pharmacist when he gets turned, and he's
Oh.
like, "What's up, me?"
Well, yeah, come on, man. I thought you meant for a moment did Perry actually talk.
Well, I said Perry does. He's a platypus. He's a. None of the animals actually talk besides.
I know, that's why I'm saying it'd be in this nightmare sense, and you're saying, oh, he didn't talk. Well, like, come on, man, that was just like him speaking because everyone else got turned to a pharmacist and says, lots of me.
It's like, well, I was like, well, I thought you remembered that.
No, I mean, no, you misled me to think there was like another case in which he actually said some more substance than just the whole lots of me thing.
No, well, sorry, I didn't mean to mislead you there.
Yeah.
But that's technically the only time Perry's ever actually spoke.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
It's like Perry knows about the zebra that calls Candace Kevin. That's pretty deep.
There you go.
Like Elliot is like, why does this end song sound like he's telling Perry to die though? Bless you, Perry the platypus. Sneeze. Like we actually do see that later on. And then Perry's defense, he is a platypus. He doesn't do much.
Yeah. Oh, that's the episode.
Held off in the below the captions say tired. Yeah. But of course, for the end credits, we visit the funky rhythms in the bathroom scene.
Yeah.
But with an additional thing where he's like, where instead of like where the drill sergeant is like, I said no funky rhythms. You know, Ferb, he was right. That was a little funky. So, any last words?
Not really. Again, it's an interesting episode. I mean, the main comparison I have for this is like Stewie kills Lois from Family Guy, in which it's a big status quo shifting episode, but it was done mainly because it was like the 100th episode, I believe. And it was the sort of thing where it was a game changing event, but to the smart, discerning audience member, they can figure out, okay, this is probably not going to be the end of the series. You know, this is I don't think we're going to end it this way. There's probably going to be an out of some kind, and we do that, and then again, kind of led to mixed results in the case of Family Guy. But then it's the realistic expectation of what did you reasonably want to happen here? Okay, this episode's an exploration of the what if. Like, what if we did do the thing we've been hinting at and always saying we want to do for so long? And it's kind of the adult realization of like, yeah, if it happens, the show's over. And if that happens, it's just like we're gonna run out of stories to tell. So shut up, eat, and enjoy your cake while you watch the show.
It's like, and finish your cereal.
Yeah, finish your cereal. Like, shut up, finish your cereal, and smile at the show.
Yeah, I mean, at least in this case, it's not entirely insulting to the intelligence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's the pair when we do it twice. That's the question. Like, twice is kind of like maybe laughing it off more of like, yeah, okay, so we're trying to show you that like we showed it, so we're just gonna move on. But this is roughly what it would look like if it did happen.
Yeah, and like I said, at least it wasn't like a whole like season long thing like Dallas or like there's just a way to like undo like or some literal Deus Ex Machina to undo some events.
Yeah,
it's self-contained, and obviously they just used it as more like I don't think they necessarily use it as a crutch. I think they just use it more as like a storytelling tool.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll do it for this week, folks. So join us next week where Phineas and Ferb race chariots downtown, and then to the downtown, and then Candace does some outsourcing. Good night, everybody. Corn dog, yummy, yummy, yummy.
What you doing?
What you do?